Hey guys, hope we're all well. Hope we're all good in the hood. Can say that right. And in today's video, what I want to talk about is employed versus being self-employed. And I've had experience of both. Currently self-employed. And self-employed has its benefits, also has its negatives. Employment has its benefits, also has its negatives. We'll go into employment. Employment is guaranteed pay. You do your hours. You get time for being off. And generally, you have a minimal kind of pay threshold where you're going to hit, you're going to get X amount of money at least for that week. Self-employed is totally different. You work for what you put in, generally speaking anyway. And there's no guarantee you'll have that money at the end of the week. You might not have the work coming in. Pros and cons. I'm at that point where now I just would rather be self-employed all the time. I think I'd struggle to go back into employment. I mean, if it needs be, I would, maybe, but I think for the most part, there's nothing better than having control and earning your own money in your own kind of right, for me. So self-employed wins, whatever that may be, whatever that kind of self-employment is, whether that's freelancing or working on behalf of a company. Ultimately, the sky is kind of the limit with self-employment, because you can kind of do other things as well. So much you can do. Whereas like employment, if you want to progress, you've got to match certain criteria. Potentially, you've got to hit certain targets, or you've got to really be the boss's best mate in the most cases. Not necessarily, but I do think definitely helps if you are good friends with upper management. And I feel like that is one of the big disadvantages with employment, is that there are a lot of restrictions. And don't get me wrong, if you're on a good wage, then you're working just like 40 hours a week. That might be all right for some people. It might be. People like, look, I get my money. I'm employed. I got a nice roof over my head. I'm doing all right. Things are pretty good. I get to go on holiday with the kids and the wife, and I get to live that life, and that's fine. That serves a lot of people well. But I think for the most part, for me, I've always known that from like being in my early 20s, that I wanted to kind of do my own thing and be self-employed. And although it's harder in some respects, it's definitely more rewarding, I would say. For me, I'm self-employed at the minute. I can kind of pick and choose the hours I want at the minute, the situation I'm in. And it's, for the most part, no one really to answer to. So it's just like, it's a big plus for me. Definitely, makes me kind of appreciate what I've got. So I would say definitely self-employment is the way. If you're young, but if you're in a good employment job where it's good pay and you enjoy the job and you get good fulfillment from it, I don't see anything wrong with that. Because I hear a lot of people who are in an employed job and they're over the moon with it. But I think they are hard to come by nowadays. I think a lot of things are toughening down on restrictions and stuff, and things are changing. So you can go out there and make your own money. I think that is the best place to be. But that's just my take. Let me know what your thoughts. I think a lot of people, probably most people who watch the channel, are employed, I assume. Some people are self-employed. But for me, I just think, There's so much more you can do with self-employment than employment. But guys, we'll leave it there. Hope you all have a great weekend, a great Friday. I will see you tomorrow.